in the shooting to the crime through surveillance video and evidence recovered when he turned himself in. Well, passenger trains might become more prevalent throughout the state of Montana now that a long-running effort to restore passenger rail service is finally moving forward.
NonStop Local's Ethan Jamba caught up with leaders from Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority to get a picture of what things could look like down the road, or perhaps down the tracks.
The effort to restore passenger rail to southern Montana is still in the planning phase, but Big Sky Passenger Rail Authority Chair Dave Strohmeyer says the details are still being worked out to what that route will actually look like.
So over the course of the past year, we have been rolling up our sleeves and getting about the work of planning this corridor. And what we are talking about is the Big Sky North Coast corridor connecting Chicago to the Pacific Northwest through southern North Dakota, southern Montana.
That planning is part of the federal government's Corridor Identification Program. Strohmeyer says the first phase has been about figuring out the scope, schedule, and budget for a service development plan for roughly 2,300-mile route. That plan will look at questions like cost, economic impact, station locations, infrastructure needs, and how freight and passenger trains could share the same system. He says the authority hopes to start that process later this year, and that it could take up to 2 years. Strohmeyer also says the southern Montana route will not replace the existing Empire Builder service in northern Montana, but add another passenger rail option across the state.
Within the next 5-year period, we hope to have a shovel-ready project and the funding that will be able to provide a glide path to project implementation.
Strohmeyer says that the authority's next big step is an 18-month to 2-year service development plan. Reporting from Missoula, I'm Ethan Jamba, NonStop Local.
Well, for the first time in 150 years, members of the Cheyenne, Lakota, and Arapaho tribes will camp together on the land where their ancestors gathered before the Battle of the Little Bighorn.
Preparations are underway along the Little Bighorn River for traditional camp ahead of the June 25th anniversary. Organizers say this gathering is about more than remembering just history. It's about unity and renewal for those tribes.
This site is significant because this is the last time when all tribes had been together as one unified tribe and allied tribes. And this will be the first time in 150 years that all tribes will come together and camp again as they did 150 years ago.
So that camp will feature traditional teepees, cultural programs, and a commemorative run. Organizers expect thousands to attend. Events begin June 23rd. They're going to continue through the 25th. They say those events are open to the public. And of course, folks, our team here at NonStop Local, we're really excited to bring you coverage of the 150th anniversary of one of the biggest battles in American history. It happened here in the state of Montana. Battle of Little Bighorn, Custer's last stand. Myself, John Martin. We're going to be in at the Bighorn battlefield coming up at the end of June for that anniversary. We're expecting some big names, some really fun coverage, so make sure to kind of stay tuned over the next few weeks as we celebrate history coming alive right here in the Treasure State.
Yeah, so tune in here at NonStop Local. Switching gears now, Montana is now part of a First Lady's Melania Trump's initiative to provide tax-advantaged investment accounts for children in foster care. Governor Greg Gianforte announced that Montana will offer Fostering the Future accounts to help foster youth build financial independence as they transition to adulthood. Now, the accounts funded with an initial $1,000 from the U.S. Treasury will be available to eligible children beginning July 4th. And Montana Fish and Wildlife and Park staff have confirmed invasive fish in community ponds in Three Forks and in Livingston. Fisheries staff verified reports of northern pike in the Three Forks ponds after capturing 2 fish on May 28th. In Livingston, staff caught 3 smallmouth bass and 6 largemouth bass in the Sacagawea Lagoon on June 1st. Now, these species are not native to the upper Missouri or upper Yellowstone River basins, and FWP is now assessing management options for removal.
Okay, taking a break from the weather or news headlines, let's talk weather tonight. You're getting a live look right now at Iris the osprey and her mate. This is in the Hellgate Canyon, just right basically outside of Washington Grizzly Stadium along the Clark Fork River. You see the eggs right there that Iris is working on. She has a chick in there. I'm not sure if we can see it. You
can kind of see it a little bit. It's on to the left of, I believe Iris is the one laying down.
Yep, she's sitting right there. That's, of course, all the video courtesy of the Montana Osprey Project. We appreciate this 24-hour live stream. Let's bring in weather forecaster Elena Margot. Also a big fan of Iris the Osprey.
Huge fan. When somebody said she had a chick today, I think the whole newsroom like erupted. It was louder than the end of that basketball game last night.
The most famous bird in Montana for sure.
Yeah, Iris is awesome. I'm really happy to see her, and it looks like she's doing well with her little family on this evening. I hope everybody on the other side of the screen is also doing well with their little families. Let's talk local weather headlines for the rest of the evening tonight, and then we'll get into our futurecast models. Good news is for Iris, things should stay fairly calm in the Missoula area and across the state as we move into the next couple of hours. Let's start by taking a live look at the Flathead Lake area. We do see some sunshine poking out with blue skies. That is a bit of foreshadowing for tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon could see a little bit more dicey weather. Right now, satellite radar picking up on very little impacts. We do have some cloud cover and brief showers spanning between Havre and Glasgow. For the most part, Montana, we are dry, and the biggest impact to our radar is just a little bit of cloud cover. Compare that to that string of isolated thunderstorms in the Midwest. For the rest of the evening tonight, a little chance for moisture in these areas highlighted in green. Tomorrow, also a chance for some isolated showers and thunderstorms phasing down from Canada in the afternoon. Looking at wind gusts right now, tracking those gusts up to 30, 35, even 37 miles per hour between south central Livingston and northeastern Glasgow. Tomorrow we do see calming conditions as that Fort Peck Lake wind advisory does expire. Temperature change since 6:07 last night, net positive by as much as 24 degrees in Great Falls. Compared to this time last night, we're warmer across the state. That leaves us with current conditions still in the 70s in Missoula, Helena, Great Falls, and Billings, 60s for Kalispell, Butte, Bozeman, and Glasgow. Where we go from here as we move into the weekend, I'll be back with a longer look at a detailed radar.
Elena Margot, thank you very much. And as the temperatures only get warmer here in the state of Montana, you might want to find a place to maybe get a little cool. And for folks in Missoula, that means one thing.
Yeah, it means Splash Montana. And you know what? Splash Montana Water Park, they're opening up for their 20th season on June 12th with regular summer hours and special events planned. Now, the water park will offer 2 daily swim sessions through August 26th.
Yeah, they're going to celebrate 20 years. The week-long birthday bash is set for July 12th to the 17th. They're going to feature games and special events. Evening events, they're going to include adult, teen, and family nights this coming July. All hours, of course, are weather permitting. Let's go beyond the big sky tonight. In case you missed it, parts of the Pentagon were under lockdown today after officials detected what they initially called an air quality issue.
A shelter-in-place order was issued for the affected area with multiple floors and corridors inside the Pentagon locked down. There were also evacuations later. 2 sources said the lockdown and evacuation was due to a false alarm. Now, there's no word yet on what may have triggered the incident.
Back here in Montana, a Northwestern Energy employee was safely rescued after rolling his equipment down a steep embankment out of Powell County.
Yeah, Powell County Search and Rescue says 5 volunteers responded to the scene and worked with partner agencies to reach the injured worker. The
team then provided stabilization and helped recover the patient, who was then transferred to an ambulance for medical care. Let's go to Bozeman tonight, an event in the Gallatin Valley at the Emerson Theater, bringing together prominent figures throughout the state of Montana for a conversation on the future of the Treasure State.
NonStop Local's Michael Teeple takes us inside this year's Montana Festival and tells us about the topics that are being covered.
Inside the Emerson Theater behind me is where business leaders, entrepreneurs, and other figures within the state are gathering for this year's Montana Festival, a 2-day event centered on collaboration, vision for the future of the state, and Made in Montana ideas. The festival features a variety of both speakers and topics, such as representatives from the Tippett Rise Art Center, speaking on how art is woven into the story of Montana.
We have recreationalists who come for a mountain bike ride or a trail run, and then they're encountering, abstract or contemporary outdoor sculpture that are tucked into the folds and topography of the land, having a completely different experience than one would typically expect when they're out for a bike ride.
Thursday's session of the Montana Festival also brought together city leaders from different communities to speak on the challenges facing their cities and plans to address these issues.
Gallatin County is often flirting with the most expensive county in Montana, and Bozeman is the second most expensive community in that county. We're now leaders in the region and in this country for tenant protections and trying to ensure folks can stay in their homes that they're currently living in.
Along with these speakers, an emphasis is placed on how history tells the story of Montana through museums.
In a decade, we see about 40 million Americans, which is 12% of the nation's population, in the building, enjoying what they see. So for me, museums are really important parts of this narrative. In Bozeman here, the Museum of the Rockies, amazing museum, punches way above its weight.
The festival concludes on Friday, June 12th, with more speakers all afternoon at the Emerson Theater, followed by private events for participants to attend with registration. Reporting in Bozeman, I'm Michael Teeple for NonStop Local.
Michael Teeple, thank you very much. Folks, we understand Halloween is still months away, right? That's in October. Preparations, though, already underway for one of Great Falls' favorite haunted attractions.
The Sparkettes are looking for volunteers to help build this year's Trail of Terror at its new North Star Boulevard location. Organizers say no experience is necessary and volunteers can assist with everything from construction and painting to lighting, landscaping, and set design.
Build days are scheduled for next month, July 18th and 19th, as well as August 1st and 2nd. Organizers are encouraging anyone interested in helping create a spooky experience for their community to get involved. Okay, folks, we're taking a quick break here on NonStop Local, but for all you soccer fans out there, the World Cup is here. Coming up, we're going to preview the World Cup kickoff down in Mexico City. It happened this afternoon.
But just before that, weather forecaster Elena Margot, she's going to bring you that full check on that forecast. We'll be right back.
dry. Our satellite radar suggesting dry conditions, but a moisture model that I'll show you next does suggest a better chance for some rain to develop. Either way, Sunday should be a better day in terms of sunshine. Very light showers possible in the very late part of the evening. So for the most part, the day you're going to want to get outdoors, if you can pick between the two, going to be on Sunday. Now, this is that conflicting model. Of course, we do see fairly dry conditions for the next day or so until tomorrow. Again, we do see a little bit of that radar activity bringing us isolated showers and thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. However, as we move into Saturday, there is a chance for some morning showers to develop and more isolated showers to kind of linger into the lunch hour and beyond. So we'll keep you posted on all of that activity as those days do approach. Today is Friday, Junior. I do want to show you an improving drought monitor. If you've been with me, you've seen a red patch of extreme drought between Cut Bank and Great Falls shrink. That has now disappeared. I am very excited about that. Glendive to the Dillon area is still seeing that extreme drought, so we're keeping an eye on those situations. Best conditions of all still between Helena, Missoula, and the Kalispell area. One lake wind advisory still in place for the Fort Peck Lake area between now and 9 o'clock. That should expire. We'll keep you posted. We'll be live again this evening to let you know if that is extended at all. Futurecast wind gust model suggesting 18 to 28 mile per hour winds over the next hour or so between Great Falls and Cut Bank. Fairly calm conditions to redevelop as we move into tomorrow when it comes to wind statewide. Could see some early Saturday morning gusts developing into that 25 to 35 mile per hour range again in the eastern plains. Lows tonight dipping down to the 20s and 30s in most major areas. 38 for Butte and Dillon, 43 for Great Falls, 49 for our friends in the Billings area. Tomorrow's daytime highs rebounding to the 70s in much of the region. Look at that, 74 degrees for Miles City. Billings also seeing highs to the upper 70s. Gonna be quite the day as we move into tomorrow, but wait until you see the next 7 days. That's where things really start to change. All right, taking a look at the next 7 days in areas like Billings and Miles City, we do see daytime highs back into the 80s, but not until the early part of next week. Until then, 70s kind of the name of the game. Look at that, a chance for, of course, showers on Saturday. That's those conflicting models we were looking at. 70s tomorrow, but that temperature blip dipping down to the 60s by Saturday. 60s as well Saturday for both Cody and Livingston. Daytime highs rebounding to the 80s as soon as Tuesday in the Cody and Livingston areas. Taking a look at the next 8 to 14 days between June 19th and June 25th, we are at average in terms of temperature along the high line and in that northern half of the state, near or slightly elevated temperature patterns for the southern half of Montana. In that same 8 to 14 days, we are tracking slightly elevated moisture trends throughout the state of Montana. But again, we do warm into this time next week with daytime highs rebounding from below average temperatures Saturday to the 60s to above average temperatures by this time next week in the 80s. We'll be right back after this.
didn't want to miss living the experience.
It's the most watched tournament on the planet, so I suppose we all love football, we all watch it every weekend, but it's the club tournaments are on, so it only happens maybe once every 4 years, why not?
In Mexico, they all breed football, they love football, it's what they think of. Like, wait to see Thursday is going to be amazing.
Many museums throughout Mexico City are also incorporating the FIFA World Cup with new exhibits. Museo Yanqui currently houses the largest collection of football memorabilia in Latin America with more than 300 authentic pieces, including jerseys and cleats worn by legends from around the world like Pelé. Curators at the museum say it's all about building community.
We can also find in this exhibit moments of community, where the aim is to make visible the diversities within soccer and the fact that soccer brings people together.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Ivan, thank you so much. And again, the United States men's national team opens up their campaign tomorrow as they take on Paraguay in Los Angeles.
Yeah, you can watch the game with us here on NonStop Local, Fox, Montana. Kickoff is at 7 o'clock Mountain Time. And honestly, hey, the U.S. men's team, they can make some noise in this tournament. It is a home World Cup for them. Anything can happen. Let's watch it together, folks, as history is being made on the pitch. The 2026 FIFA World Cup here on NonStop Local. You play a little footy in your day?
Middle school I did. I was pretty good, and then I forward.
Okay.
And then I was like, why am I running so much? I'm like 8 years old.
We'll be right back.
week's directed film sparked a number of famous lines, including, anyone? Anyone? And it turned those young stars into total icons.
I wish I could go, go
have your day off.
I could. Let me just say a quote here for you. In the words of Ferris Bueller, life moves pretty fast. If you don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
It's true. That was great.
Okay, go. The show's over.
One thing about Ben is he's good at impressions. Just
the show's over.
Know.
Go home.
Go watch that.
Go night. Go home.
The team at NonStop Local is working hard to live up to its commitment to you. Get new information and weather any time of the day. Plus breaking news as soon as it happens, all to your phone. Just visit nonstoplocal.com or download the app at Google Play or the Apple Store to get alerts to news as soon as we get it. NonStop Local. We're on it.
Ben Weinman, Kathleen Dozier, and Elena Margot, bringing you the content that connects our community. You're watching NonStop Local Montana at 6:30.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us here at NonStop Local for your 360 report. I'm Kathleen Dozier. Now, this week marks 4 years since a major flood surged through Red Lodge, a really Yellowstone County, but really affecting Red Lodge and reshaped the town as it was. Meteorologist Aiden Leisure reports on how the community has rebuilt in the aftermath. We're going to get to that later in our shows. I'm going to skip down. Hopefully we can get that video from Aiden because it truly is a phenomenal video really talking about those floods. But it is summertime and people, they are beginning to go outside and explore the nature. Yellowstone National Park set a new record for May's visitation with, listen, over 570,000 visits reported just last month. That is a ton of people. Park officials say this marks the busiest May ever recorded. Now, the park says visitation in May was up more than 20% compared to May of 2021, which was previously the busiest year on record. This comes as Yellowstone approaches the 4th anniversary of the river flood that forced evacuations and road closures. These road closures are still an issue, with many of the roads and paths built in the aftermath only expected to be kind of temporary solutions right now. Park officials are now reviewing public comments on proposed permanent road routes, with a final decision expected to be made by this summer. All right. We kind of discussed the history of flood. We know it's the 3rd year anniversary. We'll talk more, or 4th year anniversary, excuse me. We'll talk more about that. But right now, shifting our attention to what kind of caused all of that to happen. Why do floods happen here in Montana? Historic rain, snow melt, and river levels all contributed to a 500-year event. We're going to bring in weather forecaster Elena Margot to break down what those numbers look like back then and what they look like now. Elena, now we didn't get to see the video, but can you still kind of explain to the audience kind of what does that mean?
Yeah, well, you pointed out two major factors: snow melt and rainfall. Those are huge, and of course it's kind of that perfect storm that causes such a massive flood to happen in such a short amount of time. Of course, the rain pulling down a lot of snow melt, not to mention it was raining outside. I do want to pull up some data that I found today that is shocking. You can really kind of see nothing like a graph to put things into perspective. And of course, we were in a kind of an uncharted territory as it comes to flooding and where things lie. So I do want to bring you to that graph so that you can see where things were. All right, you can see on the bottom, kind of that x-axis on the bottom, June 6th, river looking fairly normal. Then look at that massive spike, brought that to a major flood stage. That led to, of course, structures, roadways getting washed away, rock and mudslides, evacuations, of course, and significant disruptions to daily life for our friends who were near the Yellowstone River. And as Kat mentioned, that did last for a long time after this. Of course, we had between 7.5 and 9.5 inches of rain, not to mention additional snowmelt in a 24-hour period. Now, you might have seen an inch or two of rain in an afternoon, and that's significant. Think about tripling that in just a 24-hour period. That is pretty significant. And of course, that increased river levels. You can see that massive spike, and our riverways just cannot keep up. That is why those rock and mudslides occur, and really dangerous conditions do enter and then kind of taper off over the days after. But the thing about it is that those roadways, even after the river has gone down, are still washed away. So pretty major factor, and 4 years ago, but still feels pretty recent for many Montanans.
I mean, it was such a drastic, I mean, the video, the flow of the water, it really was.
Shocking video.
Shocking video. And it really, like, just floods in general are, you know, shocking. But okay, I want to keep you around since we're talking a lot of rain, you know, a lot of floods. El Nino, it's officially here, and El Nino is not just a fun name to say.
Right.
National forecasters say it could be one of the strongest events on record. So Montanans want to know, is it going to affect us here in the Treasure State? And if it will, you know, what could the impact ultimately look like?
Yeah, every year or two we hear El Nino, we hear La Nina. The thing about this El Nino pattern, at least where we're situated here in Montana, could mean dry and could mean warm, and that could actually build into the winter. I know it's still springtime, so winter's a long ways away. The silver lining of that is that our drought monitor, which of course we will continue to track, has improved in a couple of our major areas, so I'll be back with a longer look at what that means. But yes, that El Nino pattern is definitely something that we're going to keep our eye on.
Elena, Margot, thank you so much. Okay, as I said, we're getting to that package because that video is, it truly is phenomenal to watch, and it's a shock, as Elena said. So Aiden Leisure, go ahead and take it away.
Behind me, a bridge that once was. Red Lodge, Montana mourns the 4-year anniversary of the Red Lodge floods. Floods that affected everywhere across Yellowstone, but particularly here in Red Lodge.
This week marks the anniversary of one of the most devastating natural disasters in recent Montana history, the June 2022 flood that changed the community of Red Lodge. Heavy rainfall combined with rapid mountain snowmelt sent Rock Creek surging through the heart of town on June 13, 2022. The floodwaters overwhelmed banks, washed away bridges, and left entire neighborhoods and businesses underwater.
We really weren't aware of the sheer volume of water that was going to be coming down out of the mountains and right into town.
Red Lodge wasn't the only place feeling the impacts, as the disaster was part of a larger flooding event across southern Montana and northern Wyoming. Stream flows reached record levels across the upper Yellowstone River Basin, with some gauges recording the highest water levels ever observed.
I drove to 19th Street and I went, oh my gosh, this is something I had never seen, and lived here for 30 plus years, and had never ever seen that sort of sheer power of the water that was coming.
Today, 4 years later, signs of recovery can be seen all across Red Lodge. Businesses have reopened, land has been restored, and community members continue to strengthen flood mitigation efforts.
One of the biggest lessons we learned was about doing evacuations and how to do that more efficiently.
I think our focus really would be humans. I think the more we know earlier, the better prepared we are to.
June 13th of 2022 serves as a grim reminder of what natural disasters can do to a community, but at the same time brings that community together stronger than ever before. With NonStop Local, I'm meteorologist Aiden Leisure.
Thank you so much. Thanks for sticking with us through this crazy block, but that coverage is really important, and that flooding was a major impact in that Red Lodge area. But we're going to head to break. That wraps up your 360 coverage. Elena Margot, she's going to return with more information, as she said, and then it's going to be your sports take.
Sunday, though, going to be the drier day of the weekend regardless. So if you're making plans for one day or the other to maybe go biking or maybe go skateboarding, you're going to want to do it on Sunday. Looking at that moisture that does roll through tomorrow afternoon, models really kind of agreeing on that when it comes to isolated thunderstorm and rain potential tomorrow afternoon. When things don't really line up, we're looking into Saturday morning and into the afternoon. Light rain in that central portion and into the northeast. So we'll keep you posted again on whether Saturday will be drier or rainier. Some models suggesting drier conditions. Looking at a lake wind advisory in play between now and 9 o'clock this evening for the Fort Peck Lake area. 35-mile-per-hour gusts possible in that region along the high line for the rest of the night tonight. Then we dip back into a calmer weather pattern, especially when it comes to wind, phasing out with that wind event that we mostly tracked yesterday, but is still lingering into the eastern plains today. Lows tonight dipping down to the 30s in southwestern Montana, Butte to Dillon, to the upper 30s this evening, upper 40s for the Billings area, 47 degrees for Miles City, fairly uniform across the board. Same with tomorrow. Most major areas to the 70s, 60s for Great Falls along the High Line, north central areas again into the 60s. Let's take a look at the next 7 days, get you set up for the weekend and into next week. Well, the trend is warming. By Tuesday, Wednesday could see highs back to the 80s next week. Fabulous weather and fairly dry conditions. A chance for those Saturday showers. How pesky in Billings. Cody and Livingston also with a chance for some pesky Saturday shower activity. 60s, then back to the 70s by Monday. 80s possible by Tuesday in the Cody and Livingston areas. Over the next 8 to 14 days, we do track fairly at average temperatures in the northern half of the state with elevated temperature patterns in southern Montana, near normal or slightly elevated precipitation patterns for the next 8 to 14 days statewide as well, moving between June 19th and the 25th. Well, that was your nonstop local weather update, but after this, we've got a whole lot of sports coming up.
Amazon logo or Walmart logo, and they'd write the check and help make this program successful going into the future. But when you look at this logo, it doesn't look like some big corporate thing that got slapped on there. It looks like it belongs, because we are Montana, right?
Can't tell you how perfectly Montana Knife Company fits into that vision that we had, and the look that it would bring to this field.
To Josh, MKC, the family you choose, we're family now, so thank you. And then I signed it. I don't know if that's a big deal or not, okay?
Coach Kennedy always bring the levity with his comedy. All right, the Montana-Wyoming All-Star Basketball Series kicks off tomorrow night with both teams playing in Gillette Friday night, then in Lockwood on Saturday. Our Johnny Day caught up with one of the standouts from the boys team who is choosing to stay at home and play at the next level.
Lockwood's own Zakiah Callison-Blake helped put the Lions boys basketball program on the map. Now the future MSU Billings Yellow Jacket will get to cap off his high school career right back here in his own gym during the Montana-Wyoming All-Star Basketball Series. Callison-Blake was one of the state's most electric high school hoopers over the past few years, throwing down plenty of dunks like this one. And this weekend, the former Lion is getting a chance to show off his skills once again.
Yeah, it's just awesome to be able to play with 9 of the best guys in Montana.
Known simply as Z, he helped build Lockwood boys basketball into one of the best programs in Class A. He also helped lead the program to their first ever state tournament appearance in 2025. The same year, they won their first Eastern A divisional crown and placed second at state.
It was great, honestly. I really loved the program. It's taught me a lot of things, not only on the basketball court, but also off the basketball court. Obviously, our main thing with Lockwood basketball is chemistry, how you're going to be when you're older.
In the fall, Callison-Blake will be staying home and taking his talents to MSU Billings. Though, his recruiting process was not an easy one, for he was originally committed to play at Montana Western before signing with the Jackets.
Something happened right before state, and I was like, what am I going to do now? And then, MSUB came and picked me up. So honestly, it was a blessing. I like it there. Obviously, I've grew up going there, watching the games.
Callison-Blake will get one final chance to showcase his skills Saturday night as the Montana boys take on Wyoming at 7 p.m. inside of Lockwood High School. In Lockwood, Johnny Day, SWX.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Next up, we have some exciting MMA news to get to with Montana combat sports legends set to take part in a historic UFC card this Sunday. Let's go to our Josh Dugan in Helena, who has more.
Helena product sugar Sean O'Malley is set to get back in the octagon this weekend when he takes on Eamon Zahibi at the Capitol. And I'm not talking about Montana's Capitol building right behind me. I'm talking about the White House, because O'Malley will be taking part in the UFC's historic Freedom 250 event, which is the first ever professional sporting event held at the White House. But this will be more than just a chance for O'Malley to be a part of history, because UFC President Dana White previously called this matchup with Zahibi a title fight eliminator, so the winner of this bout will likely be in line for a shot at the UFC bantamweight belt. O'Malley enters the fight as the number 3 contender in the division, and he's coming off a win over Song Yadong that snapped a 2-fight skid for the Montanan, while Zahibi is currently ranked number 6 in the division, and he is riding a 7-fight win streak dating back to 2021. Sugar Sean is currently a heavy betting favorite according to Sportsbet Montana, with the line at minus 455. That being said, this should be an evenly matched bout, as both fighters are elite strikers and solid grapplers, so we should have a good one on deck in Washington, D.C. One thing to consider will be the elements. Traditionally, UFC fights are held in a nice air-conditioned arena, but O'Malley's matchup Sunday is going to be held outdoors, so weather could be a factor in D.C., as forecasts predict temps in the 90s and possible rain. So you have to wonder if fatigue will be a factor as O'Malley and Zahibi get deep into the fight. That all being said, it should be a ton of fun to watch O'Malley this weekend, and what a cool moment to see a Montanan take part in such a historic sporting event. That'll do it for me, Josh Dugan, for SWX.
Dugan always bringing the energy. We're going to take a quick break. We'll talk some high school football.
it's a blessing.
Harris has 2 family members who can relate. His father, Andre, played college football at Minnesota, and his older brother is set to suit up for Arizona State in 2026. Steele takes pride in representing his home state, just like his brother.
Yeah, it feels great being able to put on for my school, Great Falls High, in the state of Montana, just like he did, and then being able to follow in his footsteps, go to the next level, and continue to show out and show that, you know, there's players in Montana, and all you got to do is go look for them.
But before Harris gets on campus, he still has one more season at Great Falls High.
I'm just thankful that I'm able to commit to a great school, and now I can just focus on my senior season and make some great memories with the guys.
Steele will lead the Bison one last time this coming fall before heading back to Madison. Reporting in Great Falls, Andrew Cornelius, SWX, Montana.
All right, good stuff, Andrew. Well, the high school sports season obviously has come to a close, but we had some record-breaking performances that took place in the state track meet. We continue to highlight those. Our Dominic Delfidio has one on an athlete that broke a record that stood for nearly half a century.
The Class A state track and field meet saw some impressive record-setting performances, but perhaps none more impressive than Big Fork's Tamrit Savick, who leaped into the Montana history books in record-breaking fashion. Tamrit Savick's triple jump of 48 feet 4 3/4 not only won him a state title that's been eluding him for the past 3 years, but it also put him into the record books, with his jump breaking a Class A record that stood for nearly 50 years.
As soon as even going down the runway, you can tell whether or not you're going to have the good jump or not. And yeah, I felt it the whole time, and it was a great feeling. Obviously, I was excited. I was excited for my coaches, my team, you know, getting us more points. And yeah, it's always been a goal, so it felt great to be able to see it. I knew it was a record as soon as I jumped it, so yeah, it felt great.
Savick broke Class A triple jump in front of a stadium packed with fans, and one fan in attendance was the man who held the triple jump record for the past 48 years, and Mike Lampier, who after watching history take place, presented Savick with his first place medal.
It felt great. I've always been trying to win that state title since I was a freshman, and I've been short both sophomore and junior year, second and third. So it felt great to be able to get that win and, you know, be able to slip myself in history for Montana.
Savick came into the state track meet as one of the best jumpers in the state, adding more weight to what is already a pressure-packed event, especially for an athlete who has been on the cusp of a state title the last season. But in his final meet, he was able to put all that aside and execute a jump that will live on for years to come in Montana track and field history.
So I mean, I was supposed to go in there winning by a lot, so I wasn't really stressed, but I really wanted to get that title, make sure I put it out there just in case, so that it won't be broken for a while. So that was my main mindset going into that, and obviously I got it, so it worked. It was nice.
In addition to his triple jump gold, Savick also claimed first in high jump, clearing 6 foot 6 inches. Reporting for SWX Sports,